Hey, Zoob here. Today we're going to talk hitting. We're going to talk about 3 things that I believe are important to all good hitting. It's a start, but everybody needs to be able to do it. It might seem simple, it might seem like something that you've learned a long time ago, but for many people that they take for granted. So, the first thing about hitting is hitting's hard. Hitting a lot of times is not fun. But when you get it right, when you do it right, it's the greatest thing in the world. And so today we're going to talk about 3 things. The first one being balance, the second one being bat path, and the third one is going to be contact point to extension. Now every hitter, every athlete for that matter in any sport has to have some kind of balance. And if we're in the batter's box and don't have balance, we're going to be in a world of trouble. So balance is going to be kept between our legs here. So if you look at me from this angle, my balance is going to be between my legs. It's something I like to call inner thigh tension. Now I want the weight and I want to feel my strength on the inside part of my thighs. This way it's going to give me a really good base to hit from. From that I go up. And then I go up to my chest, and then my chest obviously is connected to my neck, which is connected to my head. A lot of people deny that anything's connected to my head sometimes the way I think, but when we get our balance with our inner thigh tension, our chest needs to be upright and straight or stacked. We don't want it bent over a whole lot, because when our chest is bent over a whole lot, my head follows it. And which way my head ultimately goes is the direction my balance is going to be. So if my head is too far over home plate, too far over my body, I start losing my balance over home plate, and that's not what I want. So I want my head to stay in the center of my body and to stay stacked. For those of you guys that are helping coach kids, or even if you're just checking yourself in the mirror, some things that happen and get us out of our balance point are going to be when we go to the stride. And the stride's going to be a different segment that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But one thing that you want to keep in mind right now before we get talking about the stride is when I do make that stride, or I do make my step, I keep myself in between those legs, the inner thigh tension. And in future shows we'll do some drills to show you what a good way that is to happen. Thank you. The next part that we're going to talk about is bat path. The bat path to me is virtually the most important part of hitting. If our path to the ball is not straight, if it's not short, if it's not powerful, then we're going to struggle as a hitter. So the biggest thing for me is with the balance that we just talked about, my balance and my posture is going to create a good path for my hands to get to the ball. Ultimately, my hands take a good path to the ball, my bat's going to take a good path to the ball. So how do we get there? Well, the first thing we want to think of is in bat path is straight back and straight through. In hitting, we want to be straight. We don't want to be circular, we don't want to be around anything, we want to be straight to straight, ultimately way out to straight. So the bat path is if we're in a good position to hit, my hands are in a good spot, and how do you check for your hands to be in a good spot when you hit? Well, a lot of people will say, you know, just put your hands in a comfortable spot. Well, what are a comfortable spot? One is you can just put the bat on your shoulder and take it off a little bit. Another thing is you can just waggle the bat a little bit, bring it up, get some relaxation in your shoulders and let your hands drop. Ultimately, it's usually around the ear or your cheek, okay? One thing to check is where your hands start is to drop the bat down towards your toe. If where your hands are and you drop your bat down and the knob of the bat hits you on the toe, you're in a pretty good spot. If your hands are back and you drop it down and it's outside your toe or inside your toe or over your toe, we need to check because our hands are not in a good position to get our path straight to the ball. So my hands are up here in a good position. They go back a little bit. When I go back, I still want to keep my weight on the inside of my leg, and my hands are going to go straight to the ball. Bam. And a lot of coaches and a lot of people will say you want to try to keep your hands inside the ball. It's a good phrase. I don't necessarily think it's always the right phrase, because a lot of guys will think taking your hands to the inside of the ball, you're going to be really dominant with your bottom hand, and now I get a little bit of a loop or a little bit of a lag in my swing. If I just take my hands straight back to straight forward, they end up on the inside of the ball. They're never going to go outside the ball that way. So if we try to keep it simple like that, straight back, straight forward, my hands are going to be to the inside of the ball. Now my path with my hands is also dictated by my back side. My back side has to pinch a little bit with this back leg, and my upper body needs to stay in a good posture position, and my back shoulder needs to stay up above the ball with my hands. That way the path to the ball is short and it's really easy and nice. If this back leg or back shoulder starts to drop, my path all of a sudden starts coming underneath the ball. And you'll see with guys that want to create some power, or maybe the little guys who aren't as strong, that's a problem that they're going to have, is they're going to drop that backside just to try to create as much power as possible. Early on, we just are looking for barrel contact, good hard barrel contact. The momentum from my swing, once I get to that bat path, is going to create the power and the lift and the drive that I need. So when you're working with little kids, or if you're not as strong as you want to be, just make sure we're keeping our hands above the ball and we're staying straight to the ball. Thank you. I hope you're not bored yet, but we're going to talk about one more thing, and that's the contact point to extension. And all of us have seen those great pictures in Sports Illustrated or in the newspaper of some guy right at contact point barreling up a ball and hitting it out of the yard. Well, that's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about when we're at that position, boom, right on the barrel, right with our hands in a great position, right on the ball, ready to drive through it. We need to get the extension. We need to be here and even finish further out there. And some guys will say the top of your bat, if you're a left-handed hitter with good extension, is going to end up pointing out towards the shortstop. And if you're a right-handed hitter, the top of your bat's going to end up pointing out towards the second baseman to get your most extension possible. With the extension, remember what we were saying, straight to even straighter. Well, I get here, I'm straight, now I want to be with my back side, shoulder, hip, and down to my knee. I want that to explode through the middle of the diamond. I want to be straight through the middle of the diamond. A lot of guys are taught that you're supposed to squish the bug or spin to use your backside. I strongly disagree with that, because if I start squishing the bug, there's a couple things that happen. One, my hips and my shoulders start flying open, and my weight and my power is going the opposite direction of where I want to hit the ball. The second thing, when I spin on my back leg, my backside is actually going back towards the catcher. And that's not where I want to hit it either. I want to hit it out towards the middle of the diamond. So when I get to that contact point with this back knee, and we said it a little bit before, you want to pinch it forward, you want to throw it forward, bam, with that back hip to my point of contact, and then out even farther, and then finish. Now your extension, people will say keep one hand on the bat or two hands on the bat. To me, it doesn't matter. I just need you to get out there as long as you possibly can. You want your top hand or your back shoulder to feel like it's almost going to come out of your shoulder before you finish. So I need to be there, finish, and I'm out there, and then I end up with my finish and my backside exploding through the ball. One thing to look at, one thing to be careful here, it's really easy, and a lot of guys will have a problem with this, is that those hips will go way too soon. They'll try to explode way too soon, and when that happens, look at my back, it just dropped. It just dropped, my weight's too far out, my barrel's dragging behind, and I'm gonna have a lot of foul balls over the third base dugout if I'm left-handed, or the first base dugout if I'm right-handed, or maybe just swinging and missing. So my hands need to get to that point of contact, and when they get to that point of contact, that's when my backside really fires, really gets through the ball, and my hands are long through it. Thank you.